What's up, YouTube? Welcome to Automotive Life. My name is Lucky, and today's video is going to be a good one. I'm going to be talking about how I lost over $500,000 in my journey in the automotive industry. Now, everybody's always going to tell you that they never lose money, that they're always making money, and blah, blah, blah. That is entirely not the case. And that's one of the main reasons why I created this channel, is to share some of the pitfalls and mistakes that I've made along my way, to hopefully you guys don't make the same mistakes as well. And with that in mind, please do me a huge favor and gently squeeze the like button for the YouTube algorithm. That helps me find more amazing people like yourselves that enjoy automotive content. Also, if you consider subscribing, I post 3 times a week, so make sure you click the notification bell. And once again, follow us on Instagram at automotive.life. We post great stuff there all the time. Every time we go to the auctions, buying cars, flipping cars, whatever else, we get a lot more intimate content on there, so make sure you follow us there. So we're also keeping the giveaway going in this video as well. So all you have to do to qualify for that $100 Harbor Freight gift card is put in a comment section down below. It could be anything from toast, I buy that for $1, you have a question on something like that, you want to compliment me on my amazing shirt, whatever it is, put the comments down below and you automatically qualified. And remember, the people that we made mention of last video, you have 1 week to mention your claim. If you do not, I'm going to announce 2 winners as of Monday. So please make sure that you pay attention to this, follow us, and if you get announced, please reach out to us. But anyways, without any more shameless plugging, let's get in the video. So in the automotive industry, you're gonna lose money. It's part of the business. You pay for the experience, you pay for the learning things. So that's why I do the classes, and that's why I have this channel, is to help you guys not fall into some of the pitfalls that I did when I first started. Because back then there was no, I hate to say it, I don't want to age myself, but there was no internet that had all the information on where you could find. We had Michelin books, we had to go to the DMV, we had to go to the public library to research some of this stuff to see if it was either legal, illegal, stuff like that. So I want to go ahead and share some of those things with you. Now, the reason why I wanted to do this video is I was invited onto a podcast, and I love to do them. So if you're a podcast person, please do me a shout out, send me a link to your stuff. I'll definitely check it out. But the gentleman they were going to bring on with me was a guy that was another car flipper / dealer, which is fine. I have no problem. I'm always willing to share information and network. But this guy literally bragged that he never lost money. Now, as of right now, it's very rare that I lose money because we buy the right way and everything else, and I have years of experience. But this guy said even in his whole journey of being in the automotive industry, he's never lost $1, which is complete, utter bullshit. So, I figured I'd make this video because it was kind of funny, because I wanted to talk about it, and I ended up declining that particular podcast because I told him, I was like, if he wants to have an open, honest conversation, I'm all about it. But if he's just going to brag about how he never loses money, then what's the point? We're all human. We're going to make mistakes. So, like I said, I am not perfect. I do not know it all. I know quite a bit, and that's why I want to share with you guys. Anything that I miss or any other knowledge you guys want to share to help grow the channel, that's why we have our Facebook group. The link is in the description below. Make sure you join the group. If you're a dealer in Texas, say you're a dealer in Texas, so you can start networking with other dealers, you own a rental car company or auto repair shop, whatever it is, we want to share information. We want to get out of this negative nostalgia that if you're in the automotive industry, you can't share because they're your competition and you're training your competition. Everybody has to hate each other. I hate that shit. It is so irritating. Every time I go to the auction, people look at you like you're like trying to steal $1 out of their pocket. It used to be fun. We used to laugh and joke, and I don't know what happened over the last 10, 15 years, but everybody turned into a bunch of assholes, and it's no longer fun. So, definitely join the group, share your knowledge, share your information, definitely build a really fun community. So I started losing money at an early age. So when I started flipping cars, I used to buy cars at tow yard auctions, everything else. Needless to say, that was a rough experience. I bought a lot of cars that had a lot of issues, and I started, learning or gaining mechanical knowledge. I was going to school or high school, and I was taking automotive shop class, and then I was working on the buckets that I bought from the tow yard to kind of fix it up. But quite a few of those I lost. I bought for $400 or $500, and then I would have to sell them to the scrapyard for $200 or $300 because they were complete piles of crap and it cost too much money to fix. And as I started going on through my journey, I started learning that I was chasing old money with good money. So there's one of the big things that I tell everybody about is, when you start your journey, as you're getting going, you're going to spend some money on the car, but you need to make a threshold on what you want to buy. So if you watch some of my videos, I actually put on the windshield, hey, I'm going to sell this car for $2,000. I bought it for $1,000. I'm going to spend $500. If I go over this $500, I'm just going to sell it as is and get rid of it. There's no point in going over that threshold where I can't make a solid $500 to $1,000 on each car, when I first started flipping. So I started implementing that at a young age because I kept losing money. I would buy a car for $300, I'd spend $800 fixing it, and I would sell it for $1,000. And it just kept repeating. I was literally just putting new money into old money, and eventually I got sick of it and wanted to actually make money. So that's how I kind of started there. But through that journey, you know, through high school and everything else, I must have lost several thousands of dollars, you know, just from that alone. Now, once I got out of high school and I started buying cars for myself, basically I started to shop on in Chinatown here, Spring Mountain and Valley View back in the day, and we started fixing up cars. And same thing, I bought cars at tow yard auctions. I had customers that, you know, couldn't afford the repairs. I started flipping them, and you know, I wasn't doing all this stuff. I didn't have a license. My auto repair shop didn't have a license, and I didn't know what I was doing. Well, come to find out, you know, the DMV frowns on that stuff. So they came over, hey, you gotta have an auto repair license, you gotta have this, you shouldn't be flipping cars, you know, you're limited to, I think it was like 7 or 10 cars a year, blah, blah, blah. So I had to go out and spend a bunch of money. Now I got fined. This was my first fine from, I think, the DMV, the state. I can't remember if it was the state or DMV, but they fined me $1,000. Education. I went and got my license, got all my correct paperwork, and started growing my business. But through the years, I've lost everything from bad employees. That's one that people don't tell you about when you start in this journey. You're going to have employees that are going to steal. You're going to have employees that are going to lose your tools. I think probably $100,000 of the $500,000 that I've lost through my journey is probably, most of that was, I'd say about 100 grand was probably about tools and employees. Because like I said, I've had it where we had a brand new AC machine. I paid $6,000 for this thing. They were recharging a car outside. They brought the car inside and they left the machine outside. Somebody just drove by, picked it up, and drove away with it. You know, and you could yell at your employees, you could scream at them, but if they don't got $6,000 to give you back the machine, you're pretty much out of it. I've had them lose scanners. I had one guy, he actually took my scanner to a pawn shop, and I had to fire him, file a police report, and then I had to fight with the pawn shop because they didn't want to give it back to me. They told me I had to pay them the money, and I told them, no, you took stolen property, you have to give me that back. But that's one of the other reasons why I've lost a lot of money through that particular thing. I've had sales guys do some shady stuff with commission. I've had finance guys lie on deals. So, you know, one of the things we talk about in the class and the training and everything else is never trust your finance manager. So we had one of our first guys, he was doing some shady shit. He would actually tell the banks that, hey, every deal I send you, raise the fee $100 and give me $100 in the back end. Well, the banker he was working with said okay because they were giving away gift cards at that time. So he kept giving him a $100 gift card every time he sent him a deal. So I started looking, and 80% of our deals were going to this one particular bank. So one day I called the bank and I'm like, you know, why are we using you guys? I noticed that some of these deals were cheaper. You know, are you guys like giving us more approvals if we give you more volume? And they were like, no, we just, you know, your finance manager said that we had the best call. And I started looking and there wasn't, you know, they didn't have the best call. He was turning down hundreds of dollars just so he can get that $100 freaking gift card from the sales rep. So I told the company, they fired the rep. I fired my guy, and you know, that's how it kind of starts. Plus, you know, when it comes to finance guys, they were trying to rewrite the contracts, steal trades. I've had a few salesmen and a few finance managers that tried to steal trades. What they do is, you know, part of us making money as a dealer is we want to make money from the sale and we want to make money from the trade-in. So if I'm making $2,000 on the sale and I can profit another $2,000 on their trade, I want to try to do that to make as much money as we can for all the overhead and stuff at the shop. But everybody always thinks that it's not that much money to run a dealership and we're making all this money. So all my sales guys used to go over there, and when I'd give them $1,000 for their trade, they would go back there and give the customers $1,000 and then take their car, and then they would park it across the street and try to sell it. Well, what happened was I had a few deals called unwinds where, you know, the deal didn't go through with financing, and they have to return the car and I have to return the customer's vehicle. So one guy came over, he's like, all right, I just want my truck back. And we're like, what truck? He's like, the truck I traded in. We're like, no, you didn't trade in a truck. Right here on your contract it says $1,000 cash. You know, we didn't take a truck on trade. Yeah, I gave it to the sales guy, and he said that was part of the deal, and I want my truck back. And so we found out that my sales guy basically bought it from him for $1,000, put it up for sale, and sold it already for $3,000. Made a quick, you know, $2,000. And so normally on that end, If it's through the dealership, I cover that loss. I either reimburse the customer the $1,000 or I give them something equivalent to it or whatever else the case is. You know, different states have different laws. So, you know, I told my sales guy, I was like, you have two things. You either give him all the money from that sale or you're fired. And so he said that he didn't have the money. He already spent it. So I fired his ass anyways. I gave the customer $1,000 back, told him I apologize. I'll give him another affordable cheap car if he wants one. So we wound up coming back like a week later, and I think we gave him like a small car or something like that. But you know, through your journey, a lot of your theft and your loss and your vandalism and everything else will actually come from your own people, from your own things. So that's why it's very important that when you start in this business, you yourself need to learn everything you can, so this way you're smarter than your guys. Because we make jokes about how, you know, there's so many absentee owners and they don't pay attention to their guys. They just let them run rampant, run the dealership. You know, I'm just going to stay at home and collect checks. And I guarantee you 90% of them are probably getting robbed blind right now and have no idea. Their finance manager, their general manager is probably making $100K a year, and they're probably scraping $100K off the top just to make it over. Because, you know, we always have this joke that you'll never find a used car manager or a finance manager without a big chunk of money in their pocket, because they're always getting kickbacks and payoffs either from the banks, customers, or they're stealing from you. You know, so, you know, it's very important. Even when we go out and do training, I've actually caught people where, and this is for dealers, if you guys want to do this, you can actually look through your software and it'll tell you how many times a contract has been written. And what people do is they back contracts out. So let's say the customer is buying the car for $15,000 and they have $3,000 down. So they'll put $15,000 down and $3,000 down. Well, what happens is the finance manager can get the deal bought for whatever, and let's say he can make his cushion. So he goes back in, lowers the car down to $14,000, takes their $3,000 down payment, turns it into to $2,000. Tells the customer he's saving money on sales tax or whatever else. Customer doesn't care. He just wants to get a cheaper payment and lower interest. And the finance managers do this. They rewrite the contract a few times just so they can make their money, and then they pocket that. So we were catching people in multiple dealerships in multiple states doing this stuff. So it's very important to keep an eye out for that. A big thing I've lost money out on is when I started, you know, like the repair. We talk about it a lot. You know, a lot of mechanics and a lot of dealers do not learn how to actually fix cars. They just want to, you know, dress in their Gucci sweater and go to the auction in their flip-flops and not touch anything and not get anything dirty. You need to learn the business, because 90% of the way people lose their money is through either buying bad cars at the auction or your actual recon. So I did lose a lot of money, but the good thing is I made the mistake once. First time I bought a Range Rover, learned about the suspension and head gaskets. Learned that lesson. Now I buy accordingly. Same thing with Chryslers, anything with a 7 at the end of it. 2.7, 3.7, 4.7, 5.7. I already know they're going to blow up, they're going to have issues. Don't buy them, and if I do buy them correctly. So as I started going down and learning these lessons, I kept it in my book, so this way, that's what I share with you guys. Learned about transmissions, motors, paint and body. We expanded our shop. We learned different things, so this way we can maximize on our money and not lose out a bunch of stuff. So it's not only being open to somebody else's criticism, but also be open to learning something from somebody else, because I don't know what it is, it's very hard for us to take criticism and to take knowledge from other people, especially when it comes to dealers. A lot of the dealers are extremely arrogant, and you know, they'll have some backyard mechanic that'll be telling them, hey buddy, don't buy these cars. I'm a dealer, I got a $200,000 business, I know what I'm doing, you're just a mechanic, you don't know anything. And they don't listen to these guys, but these guys see the cars every day, day in, day out. They know the thing, the dealers don't. And so they wind up getting burned, and then they pretty much get screwed. So like I said, every time I screwed up, I basically put a note in my book and we kept moving forward. Now after that, the big thing you're gonna lose money on is marketing. Now back in the day, everybody thought the billboard signs were the best, and we used to buy billboard signs, I think it was like 10 grand a month. I used to advertise in the Robb Report and the DuPont Registry, if you guys know what those are. Crazy ass magazines for like $10,000 for a page for like, I think a month or a quarter, something like that. You know, same thing. We spent a lot of money on marketing, and I thought it was doing good, wasn't doing anything. So I converted over, I think in 2000, was it 13 or 14? I started converting all over to social media. So 99% of my advertising now is all social media. But another thing, like I said, that people don't talk about, you are gonna lose money when it comes to that. Now, But let's talk about some of the other funner stuff. Lawsuits and fines. Now, becoming a dealer and becoming a rental car company, you open up yourself to a lot of lawsuits and a lot of fines and fees from the DMV. So I went 2 years without having a single complaint on my DMV file. I was very proud of that. Never had any issues with the DMV. My very first issue and my very first problem, a customer came in, they bounced checks, they gave us a car that didn't have a title, so we repoed it, so they filed a complaint. They asked for the copy of the contract. I said, no problem, here you go. So what happened is they went through all the pages, not looking to see if the customer was wrong, they were looking to see if I was wrong in any way. So they found one page that wasn't even important, and my finance guy did not sign it. You know, it was nothing critical, nothing changed. I think it was something like a disclosure for, not a disclosure, but just like saying like, hey, you're taking the car with this tank of gas or something else like that. Nothing major, but without one initial, they said that it was a fraudulent contract and they fined me $10,000 on my first offense. Never been in trouble before. $10,000 was my first offense. And I had to give the customer back her down payment and that was pretty much it. So she basically drove around my car for 2 months, gave me fake checks, tried to give me a stolen car, beat the shit out of my car, and she had no recourse because she was the customer. She was in the right. I was the big bad dealer and I was in the wrong because we forgot to initial one small thing that wasn't even crucial, you know? And so that was the beginning of it. Now, once you pop up on the DMV's radar, they're gonna come after you. So we've had a few other times where it wasn't even anything major. Somebody made a complaint and they'll just be like, oh, well, we didn't like the way you handled that customer, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. So then I said, you know what, I'm not paying your fines anymore. I'm gonna sue the shit out of you. So I started paying for attorneys and that was expensive. First one we did, $10,000. Attorney paid 10 grand. They fought our $20,000 thing, got it basically reduced to like $1,000. But at the end of the day, I still spent 11 grand on the attorney. Same thing. We had to put on a retainer every single year, $10, $15, $20,000 just to put up with the bullshit the DMV was getting. Because if we didn't stand up to them and we didn't challenge them, they would just issue fines like for fun, you know? And it was crazy because at the end of the day, they were like, well, you really didn't do anything wrong, but we just see bad practices, so we're going to charge you anyways. So be very careful. Like I said, some DMVs are really good. They don't mess with you. Like the new agents that we work with now, they're great people. They have no problems. You know, they see both sides. But back then, there was just like the Wild West. The DMV ran the DMV. They didn't have to answer to anybody. They didn't have to answer to the state, the city, nobody. So they just, if they wanted to charge you $1,000 just because it was Tuesday, they would charge you the $1,000, you know? And then on top of that, they would always threaten you to take your license away. So if you didn't pay them or you didn't do something they liked, they'd always threaten you to come. And they'd always, it was funny because I remember we had a Cinco de Mayo joke on Facebook. And I was like, hey, our Cinco de Mayo special, if you take 5 shots of tequila, we give you $500 off your vehicle, right? It was 100% joke, right? And we had like people in the background like taking shots and falling over, and we'd like, hey, you're a winner, you get $500 off your car. So they tried to sting us. They were sending people in saying, well, what, do you have any specials? Do you have any bonuses? And we're like, yeah, we have a special. It's our, you know, Cinco de Mayo thing. If you take 5 shots of tequila, do that. Oh, cool. You just gonna give me the shots here? I was like, oh no, I go down to the street and I'll buy you at the bar down the street there, right? Nothing legal, whatever else. After that guy left, we had SWAT pull up. They pulled up with cars everywhere, on the big black trucks, SUVs, police. They all came in there, and the DMV rep was all huffing and puffing, like, where's the booze? Where's the alcohol? And I'm like, there is no alcohol. This was a joke. You know, we're a dealership, we're not a bar. You know, it was just something I put on there for fun to get attention, which obviously it got your attention, you know, and they're like, oh, well, we're gonna fine you, we're gonna do this. And so they walked all over my place trying to find alcohol. There was nothing. I think they found 1 beer bottle in the shop because one of my mechanics was drinking beer on his time off, which is fine, I don't really care. So they were like, oh, we're gonna charge you $5,000 fine. I was like, go ahead. I go, I'm gonna go to court and I'll fucking dispute it. Sure enough, once I went to court, they didn't even show up. So they will try to do stuff like that. So I've lost a lot of money through lawsuits, legalities, and as a dealer, even though you are in the right, I'm telling you right now, get ready, you are gonna be in the wrong. Also, there are a lot of dealers out there, attorneys, that like to sue dealers. Now we talk about this stuff every now and then, but there are attorneys out there that go after dealerships bond, because dealerships bonds, if you could sue them and get a judgment against them, they can go after your bond and take the money. The bond will pay out right away and you're out of business. And that's what they do. So their whole thing is to scare you, and it's basically a shakedown. Hey, we're gonna go after your bond unless you peel us back some money. So there's a guy here in Vegas that does this to everybody, and he wants $8,000 to $10,000. And if you don't pay him, he takes you to court, and he'll file 50 things against you, saying, oh, fraud, defrauding the customer, blah, blah, blah. Like, he'll just whatever, 50 things. And all he's got to do is catch you on one. If he gets you on one, then he can actually take you to court and get that judgment against you, and then take your bond and take it away. So be very, very careful. And as you start your business, as you start to get bigger, you're painting a target on your back. And a lot of times it's the other dealers that will tell the attorney to go after you because they see you growing, they see you getting bigger, or maybe you're doing something better than they are. So be very, very careful, and make sure when you start this business, you get all your paperwork looked over by a local attorney. Don't hire some nationwide one, because when you sign up for your dealership software, it will be state specific, but there's certain documents that you have to get that are state specific to protect yourself from these type of things. We have them here in Vegas. If you set up a call or do training, I'll tell you about them. And it's just to prevent you from getting sued from these guys, and they get pissed off. As soon as they see the document, they wind up leaving because they know they can't sue you and get free money. It's not an easy shakedown, or they're not gonna rattle the piggy bank and break in. A few other ways I've lost money is through the auction, and I've talked about this on a few other ones, not really paying attention to the auction. So I've never lost a car or bought a car by stupidity. That one's pretty funny. I've made a few videos about that, where once you go to the dealer's auction, you are held by a certain standard. So if you're walking around and you're saying hi to your buddies, and the rep sees you, wave your hand, and he says, hey, you made the bid. If that car was $30,000, you bought it. And if you don't buy it, guess what? They're going to kick your ass out of the auction, and you will be done. So that's one of the other ways a lot of people lose money when it first starts to the auction. So be very careful. I have a whole thing on my video, dealer etiquette. Do not do that at the auction. But what I did was I sold a few cars and I wasn't paying attention. I put up a bunch of cars, and I put, like, instead of putting like 20,000, I put like $2,000. Instead of 5,000 or 50,000, I put like 5,000. So I put up all these really low reserves thinking my cars are going to sell, and I'll get whatever money. Well, they wound up giving away 5 of my cars for really, really cheap. And they're like, man, we sold all 5 of your cars. They got way over your asking price. I was like, really? I was like, show me the thing. And they sent me the payout. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is a $20,000 car. You guys sold it for 15. Oh, well, your reserve was $2,000. I'm like, shit. And so I couldn't be mad at the auction because that was my fault. So just in that one instance right there, I think it was over like $40,000 lost, and there's nothing I could do because it was, I put in the price, they put it in there, and I'll be honest, if I probably would have caught it sooner, I probably could have stopped the sale and they could have rewound the deal. But that was part of the thing. It's part of the lessons learned. So anybody that tells you that they're perfect, that they haven't lost money, that they haven't, had these growing pains or these issues, like I said, are full of shit. So if you have any great stories, please put them in the comment section down below. I truly appreciate it. I want to hear some of the things that you guys have messed up on, or some of the silly things that you've done to lose a lot of money. But like I said, I've lost probably about $500,000, whether it's fines, losing money at the auction, buying the wrong cars, getting sued, tools being lost, all kinds of stuff, bad marketing, you name it, everything. We've lost money somehow, some way. Now, thank God we've made a lot more money than what we've lost, but at the same point, it's that slippery slope. You never want it to go back and forth. And here's a funny one that for dealers, at 1 year, I lost $37,000 because my sales guys were too freaking lazy to pick up their PIK payments. So if you have PIK payments hanging out in the wind, you start telling your sales guys, once it goes over like $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, they're not getting paid until they collect that. It's very important, because what happens is the sales guys, well, give me my money, I want to get paid, you say, hey, part of your deal is making sure we get all the stips and all the docs and all the down payment. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, talk to your friends, watch some more videos, but that's very important when it comes to losing those PIK payments, is that's a big chunk of money you don't want to lose. And through the years, that's another big snowball. I think that probably together through 10 years of business is probably close to about $100,000. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, put a comment section down below, so this way you win your chance to win a $100 Harbor Freight gift card. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at automotive.life. Gently squeeze the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to us, and we'll see you next time.